So guys, this is what I created as our key question case entry. Pretty simple. What's the address of the emergency? What is the phone number you're calling from? Okay, tell me exactly what is happening. I use this verbiage straight off of other EMD. There's a reason that they asked them like this. And I jumped right into just pipeline, what we're shooting for. They're color coded because if you made a true flip book printable, it would be color coded. So you see, let's go, confined space is pink. There's confined space. Of course, this would be smaller. You could have a much smaller book. Normally, they're about half this size. Maybe 3 of them around a dispatch center. Okay, on the back of the first case entry, I have safety advisement for callers that are on scene. So it's on the reverse side of this card. That's what we had talked about making. Not cut off. Very sorry about that, because I printed it from a PDF version, I guess. Okay, so what do you see, hear, and smell is here. And then why, all of these would be indicators of a leak, indicators of a leak, indicators of a leak. What to do, what not to do. Okay? So they would advise them, basically read, don't come in direct contact with it, don't attempt to operate any pipeline valves or cause any secondary incident by turning something on or off, especially if they're not pipeline certified. Don't cause any open flame, an electrical switch, match, lighter, starting your vehicle, your cell phone, things like that. If there's a vapor cloud, get away from it. I mean, it tells you everything right there. So before they would disconnect with the caller, they would tell them that. Even if they really can't give them any more than this information, we also want to add somewhere in there under what do you see, the placard information, like a question about, do you see a placard? What does the placard look like? What is the information on the placard? So the dispatcher can be taking that information down. If they suspect a leak or detect a leak, especially if they're in a house, this is turn off gas appliances, leave the area by foot, attempt to stay up when. So you're saying it kind of the same way. It's just do attempt to do that, don't attempt to do that. Okay, so if it was called in as this goes for rail car and commercial vehicle with pipeline product in it. So a motor vehicle accident, they go right here to the purple tab. This is what they would want to ask. Are there any patients? How many vehicles are involved? Is it upright or on its side? What is being hauled? Is there a hazardous material placard? So basically what's in it. How much material is there? So if you're talking to the driver of that loaded material, he's going to be able to tell you this. Not all bystanders would be. Knowing if it's fully loaded, empty, or partial amount is necessary. So you can put that in a question form, of course. Is the material flammable, gaseous, toxic? Is it leaking? So if it's on its side and it's leaking all over the roadway, at least the first responders are going to know what they're coming into. Now on the back of each of these, I have kind of a why. Why do we want to know? So knowing what the product is establishes its hazards. How much of it? So what? How much? Determines the size of the response. May have to send additional resources. If dispatch gathers that information from the beginning and gets those necessary units en route, they're not causing any further delay. And then if they let them know what's in it and if it's flammable, gaseous or toxic, it helps everyone to stay safe. So if those first responders roll up, they're going to make probably a larger perimeter and maybe have to shut down a road in a wider perimeter to keep themselves safe and the public right there. Of course, rewording, I don't know if we want to make it bullet points, anything like that. And of course, this is really boring and dry. Matt would make it real nice. Tank battery fire. How many tanks? Normally, this is not going to come in from anyone who is on site. I think there are some sites that have the tank batteries on them, so it could be that a company industry person could call this in, and this is when these questions would be more applicable. But most tank battery fires start from lightning. But anyway, if someone was on site, you could ask them these questions. And we could do that. Someone on site, flip to here. Not on site, advise them of this stuff, right? On the back of the tank battery card, we have a little bit of information about tank battery fires. Started by lightning, these calls will most likely come in as smoke in the area, and known type fire call by a caller not on the site or unseen. These types of callers typically will not be able to give you as much useful information, such as, all those questions on the front. They may be close enough to see a placard to where they can give dispatch that company information and a phone number. I believe, I think Danny confirmed this, most of those tank battery sites are unmanned. It's basically a storage processing place. However, something could happen when someone's on site loading or unloading that material, and then it would be coming from, someone on scene. So it goes down, I don't know if we should go through all of them, but anyway, I sent you guys this information, but I wanted to show you how the flip card would work. This is basically how all emergency dispatch for medical, fire, and police is set up. Kind of like an algorithm. Tank battery fire, go here. Ask these questions. If this, then that. If there's patients, are they conscious and breathing? If it's this, then this. If there's personnel present, is someone en route? What is their ETA? If not, you wouldn't ask that, of course. Is it endangering anything else? Things like that. So they're pertinent questions. We developed these more during that Perry meeting downtown. Okay, and then it talks about if it's a caller unseen. A first party caller is not the correct verbiage. First party would be the patient themselves. So it should just say if the caller is on scene or someone on the site is calling the incident in themselves. We could say caller on scene or industry personnel. If there's any patients, if so, how many? This kind of incident would most likely require aircraft to be landed because of its severity, fire, explosion, evacuation. Probably going to have some burns if there's patients, or debris that hit people, and possibly more than one patient. So a decision can be made with that information ascertained by the dispatcher from the beginning of the call, that first call, before the first responders are even dispatched or on scene. It could be life-saving because the dispatcher has control over that outcome for better possibility of a survival rate for those patients on that type of call. However we want to word that. If it's an unmanned site, the call would most likely come in as an unknown type fire. Little to no useful information would be gathered from a third-party caller in this event. It would come in as smoke in the area, or I heard a loud boom, something like that. So each one of these, like let's look at H2S gas. H2S gas. So it's pretty simple. How many patients have they been removed from the exposed area? Are they conscious? Are they breathing? A little bit about facts about H2S gas. It's deadly. The gas presence will always be assumed by first responders on every pipeline incident until proven otherwise. And like we talked about, most responders do not have the proper equipment to detect H2S gas. This is law enforcement, EMS, volunteer fire. We're looking at the overall again for our audience, South Texas Perry, I guess. So, confined space. What type of tank? What is in it? Is it above the ground or underground? Are they conscious? Are they breathing? Because confined spaces means someone's in a hole or... and I put the trenching under traumatic injury. Okay, it's important in any confined space type of call to gather as much information as possible from the caller. This will help not to delay in patient care. The responder should be advised of all information gathered on all these calls, of course. May require additional resources or specialty technicians, such as someone certified in a high angle ropes rescue. Now, I was also told that, in a lot of volunteer fire departments, they might not have anyone certified like a high angle ropes person. Some of the pipeline people do have those specialty people. But if not, and knowing it from the beginning, like, who's going to have the quicker response? It could possibly be someone from LaSalle in one of those surrounding areas. I don't know if they would lend their people out, but I'm not even sure policies on that, or protocol. If they, hey, we have a high angle ropes rescue. Do you have anyone on shift that's certified that can shoot over here and help us out with this? Or what's the ETA of the pipeline person? How are we going to get this person out of this hole from above? Okay, there's a fall. Fall might have a lot to do with confined space too. They probably fell into it. So fall, are they conscious? Are they breathing? The distance that anyone fell is very important because anything over 6 foot or an average person's height is considered to be a dangerous fall. You can have more internal injuries. So that would be important to tell your first responders from the point of dispatch. Okay, traumatic, what caused the injury? If they can get any specific names of the equipment, like a high pressure line is going to whip around and hit someone, as opposed to something dropping, like if they're drilling in those, what are they called? I guess a wellhead. Those pipes could come loose and hit someone. That would be a struck by. They also have those gears that turn around. They can get caught in or caught between. So those are certain phrases, pipeline phrases, that would be important to tell your first responders because this is going to be a totally different type of accident than they're normally used to. Has the equipment been secured, especially shut off in this situation? How many patients? There could be more than one. Conscious breathing again. And then I do believe I put the trenching on the back here. We can move some of this to the front. It doesn't matter how we end up setting it up. Okay, so they have a lot of pipeline sites have a lot of heavy equipment that can cause traumatic injuries. These types of calls will most likely come from a caller on scene, someone on the site, and with the patient. Hopefully not first party, but it's important to gather as much information to relay to the first responders, what caused the injury, when possible, the name of the mechanical part, such as what we just talked about. And a trenching accident is also common traumatic injury in pipeline installation. And like Michelle had mentioned, the more and more, that we're building and putting in, this can happen more frequently. So that's how the Cardset works. And this can be small, and it can be just a hole punch laminated, or just that little ring in one side of it. We don't have to bind it in any way or make an expensive book. We could give instructions on, print these front to back or double-sided, and then laminate them for use in your comm center. And I think this is a very valuable resource that no other EMD or emergency dispatch priority dispatch system that I could find has anything like this. I had reached out in the beginning to a friend of mine that instructs in ABCO. APCO is one of those different emergency dispatch training and certification ways you can go, and he was unaware of anyone who has it as well. So it's funny that I kind of started there, and then that's where I ended up. So in making this card, Michelle, which was just supposed to be this card, it kind of grew to more because I had all this built already, and I thought, well, that kind of makes sense to make it more of like a little manual how-to algorithm or flow for dispatchers to practically use. So I just wanted to show you what I was thinking with that, and you guys both have a copy of this that I emailed you. It doesn't look so pretty though, although mine's not great. But if you have any questions, just email me. Thank you all. Bye-bye.